Hello, it's Dale here. Today I thought I'd wear this beautiful necklace that Sharon Hall made for me, since poor Sharon and Rob are holed up in a hotel quarantine in Tasmania when they should be cruising around Tasmania. So I don't feel so jealous of them now. But anyway, it's just a beautiful necklace, and so thank you, Sharon. Anyway, today I thought I'd talk to you a bit about paper or bark. I started with something else. This is a piece of eucalyptus bark from our tree. We have a lot of eucalyptus trees, and hence, especially at this time of the year, we have a lot of bark that falls. In fact, every time you turn your head, there's another piece there. But I just wanted, it reminded me of something well over 20 years ago. Just as we were heading off to go to Ali Pali in London, I happened to see a whole lot of bark in the front garden, so I made Ian wait while I scooped it up and chucked it in a bucket of water. And 4 weeks later, when we came back, it hadn't done anything at all. So what I did then was I threw in some caustic soda. Yes, I know that's not good, but I let it work away and broke all the fibres down. And I made, for some piece for my City and Guilds, I made handmade paper. And it's pretty tacky now. It's been around for a long time. But this, you can use bark to make paper. And so this was actually a piece, I will show you, this wasn't the object of it, but I was doing a City and Guilds course, and so this was a photograph I took of bark on a tree, not ours, but somewhere else, I think. And I did some rubbings, and I used Tyvek, which I'm sure you know you can stitch and see the shape. I'll show you the heavier Tyvek that I used for surrounds, just to get that formation that you could see on that tree, and some machine stitching underneath on water soluble. And this one here, the last one at the back, I've done some little hand stitching ones just to show the bark, but it was really to show you what happens with the bark. I've done a lot of like oil stick rubbings over here just to pick up those colors, and then it was part of my City and Guilds thing, as I said. So that's my bark, and that's what got me started with it. Was people have been asking me all week what they can do with mulberry bark. Now, this is not the mulberry bark on the mulberry tree outside my studio window, which has had beautiful mulberries this year. This mulberry bark comes from the north of Thailand, possibly in Laos as well. And when they pull it off the tree, you get different sizes and shapes and layers. You can see the texture. And as everybody knows, I love the texture of these things. So, and then it's bleached, and we do sometimes have, we often have unbleached, but I like the bleached one. And you can see the layers, and it's sometimes called kozo fiber and other things. People get a bit carried away with naming of stuff, and depends where it came from. And also you might see some people will refer to it as, or they will sell what they call kozo strips, which basically what they've done, or someone's done, is just pull the fibres off this mulberry bark and charge you quite a lot more for it. But one of the things that's so good about it, you can see how you can flex it, tex it, you can wet it and mould it. You could use PVA if you wanted, or CMC paste or something like that. See how I'm making it much bigger? And then I can pull off the layers as I like. So it's a little bit like a scrim in a way. You pull that off and add it to your work in any way that you like. You can add it in with your silk paper, add it with your paper making, put it into anywhere where you're stitching or working. As I said, with I would use a gel medium rather than PVA, but I know people doing. You see how I'm starting to shape it a little bit? So when you wet it, you can shape it. Now, it loves colour. It takes colour very easily. Don't use something like, Lumia. They're too plasticky for this, anything like that, an acrylic paint. So I would use like a spray, or it loves acid dyes, of course. I'm not a dyer, but I have had it dyed. And that piece I was working on last week with the sea houses and things, and that's the same sort of colour. And let it dry, or while it's wet, you can shape it. That's how you can get shape and mould it over to surfaces and so on. So it's got heaps of use, and I can pull it apart. It's quite soft when it's been wet, and you might want to just use the strands to lay down onto something else. So that is that any liquid that you've got. So just to come back to it to show you again how much this, and then of course you can trap it over other bits. So you've got, pull out the shapes, pull out more holes, pull it apart, and use it as a layering. But look at the lovely texture, and absolutely beautiful. So I hope all the people who've asked me this week about mulberry bark have got a few ideas here. You know, all the usual things. It's all about your own imagination and what you're doing. So yeah, I hope to give you a few ideas, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.